Claire here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, Making a Difference One Experiment at a Time. For those of you who saw my slime making video, thanks for coming back. And for those of you who it's your first time here, welcome. Today we are going to do a super fun experiment called making elephant toothpaste. And I'm so excited to have you join me. For those of you who don't know, I am a Girl Scout earning my Girl Scout Gold Award, and I'm going to be walking you guys through a bunch of different fun experiments that are super easy, super safe, and super fun to do at home with your families. So let's just jump right into making it. Alright, so before we can start our science magic, we need to gather all of our materials together. So the first thing you're going to need is a standard 16-ounce water bottle. Just use one that's a drinking bottle, totally standard. So that's our first thing that we need. Next thing is dish soap. I got this just from under my sink. My parents use it to clean the dishes, and so your mommy or daddy should have it handy around the house. Next, we'll need some hydrogen peroxide. In order for you to be able to play in the foam a little bit later that we're going to be making, I recommend using 3% hydrogen peroxide. It's just safer for handling for kids. Next, 1 cup. Disposable is easier, so you can just throw it away and not worry about the mess later. A spoon for mixing and a tablespoon for measuring. You'll need a measuring glass also for measuring, and I recommend that it be glass and not plastic just because we're going to be putting the hydrogen peroxide in it and it's easier to clean out. And then lastly, we're going to need some yeast and a tray because our elephant toothpaste is going to foam out of our bottle and make a big mess. Super fun. And it's just easier to clean up. You can throw away the tray after you use it, or you can just clean it out like I do with mine. Alright, let's get going. Alright, so after you put on your safety goggles, make sure you put them on, super important. Safety first, safety second. Okay, so after you put on your safety goggles, we have our station set up. You're just going to put your bottle into your tray that's going to be used for the overflow and for the mess. And next we're going to measure out our hydrogen peroxide. I would recommend having mommy and daddy maybe help you with this part because we don't want to spill the hydrogen peroxide. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your measuring glass, your hydrogen peroxide, and we just want half a cup, okay? So we're going to pour in half a cup, make sure it reaches a little fill line, and when you've measured it out, we're all set. After you've measured your hydrogen peroxide, you're going to carefully pour it into your empty bottle, just like this. Try not to spill like I'm doing right now. Alright, after we have measured out our hydrogen peroxide, the next thing we want to do is get some warm water to put in our cup. So let's go over to the sink. Alright, so now we want to get 3 tablespoons of water, and the water needs to be warm, okay guys? So turn your water on. If it needs some time to warm up, go ahead. Mine is already warm, so I'm just going to measure 1 tablespoon, 2 tablespoons, and 3 tablespoons, and then we can go back over to our other area. Alright, so now that we have our warm water in our cup, we need to add the yeast. You need only 1 tablespoon. I'm just going to use my whole pack because it happens to be 1 tablespoon. So I'm going to cut it open, add it to our water, and then we're just going to stir for 30 seconds, okay? So we can count together. Ready? Let's go. Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, almost there guys, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30. Woo! Good job, everybody.
Alright, so after our yeast and water have been mixed completely, we just get to set that aside. And now we need our tablespoon again for putting soap into our hydrogen peroxide. So we're going to measure out 1 tablespoon like this. And after you've measured out 1 tablespoon, do your best to pour it into your hydrogen peroxide. It's kind of hard, you might miss, it's okay. As long as you get most of it into the bottle, we'll be all good. And after you pour your dish soap into your hydrogen peroxide, we want the mixture to become one. So we're just going to gently swirl the bottle like so, just for a couple seconds to make sure that the hydrogen peroxide and soap are mixed together. Alright, next comes the fun part. Alright, so give it one last stir, and then we're actually going to pour our yeast and water into our hydrogen peroxide and soap, and your elephant toothpaste should form.
Oh!
So there's your elephant toothpaste, super cool. If you feel it right now, guys, it should be slightly warm, and we'll come back and talk about that later, why that's like that. But yeah, the foam's super fun, super soft. Feel free to pause the video and play in it for a little bit. Then go wash up and clean up your area, and we can come back and talk about all the science behind our fun elephant toothpaste. So now that our hands are washed and our station's all clean, let's talk about the magic behind the science. So you guys just did some fun chemistry. What you witnessed is something called a chemical reaction. And there are different types of chemical reactions, but this one was called a decomposition reaction. Decomposition. Decomposition means that you have one thing that breaks apart into different things, two different things in this case. So we started with hydrogen peroxide, right, that we poured into our bottle. And then the hydrogen peroxide reacted with the yeast and the water and split apart into water and oxygen. And so the reaction we just saw has a special formula, which you see right here below. So we have hydrogen peroxide becomes water plus oxygen. This decomposition reaction has a special name as well. It's called exothermic. And exothermic means it's letting out energy in the form of heat. So that's why when you touched the foam, it kind of felt warm because energy was being released and it felt kind of warm and hot to us, right? And the reason the foam was made was because the little itty bitty oxygen molecules that are being formed when the hydrogen peroxide breaks down are getting trapped inside the soap bubbles, right? And then the soap makes the big puffy foam that we see and that we get to play in and have fun with. So now that we're done with all the science, we can take our goggles off. I had a lot of fun with you guys. Thank you for hanging out with me and making elephant toothpaste. If you enjoyed this video, please check out my next video, which is down below. We're going to make a sparkly volcano. So I hope to see you guys there, and I will see you soon. Bye, little scientists.